Welcome to Stacking Pennies, guys. Corey LaJoie here alongside Ryan Flores. We have Brad Keselowski, 2012 Cup Series champion, joining us right here in the Nonsense Garage, as well as we talk to the modified race winner from Loudon, Tyler Rypkema. All that and some Magic Mile breakdown for you. So let's buckle up, guys. Let's go stack some pennies.
Stacking them deep, selling them cheap.
It tastes like gasoline, rubber, and victory.
We're just out here stacking pennies.
Hey, friends. Hope your day is going fantastic. Corey LaJoie here alongside Ryan Flores. New Hampshire this past week. Man, I had a fun week.
You went up early.
I did. I loaded up all the kiddos. The swan song with the last trip with the motorhome. So we're getting out of that, getting into a fifth wheel Brinkley. I'm excited about that.
Nice.
So I've had a lot of great memories in that motorhome. But so we loaded up, drove 10 hours up to Pep, bunkered down in Norwalk, Connecticut for a couple of days. Hung out there until Friday morning, then drove on up to New Hampshire. Magic Mile. How's your week?
Oh, it was good. Yeah, it was a good week. Didn't do that. Kind of hung out at home. And softball. Harper got the game ball. Shout out to Harper. She's been really big in the competitive softball. Was trying to watch this truck race a little bit on Saturday, bouncing back and forth.
So I ran out to get coffee on Saturday morning to that little egg show, Cracked Eggs. What's that restaurant called there on the left when you're rolling in?
I forget.
It's like the Cracked Egg Cafe or something. So Levi and I went, grabbed some breakfast to go, grabbed some coffee, and we're headed back. And there was traffic at 8:45 in the morning.
Modifieds, buddy.
The ground pounders.
That's so, dude. One race tracks. They had one race. It's like a damn event.
I mean, that's their Daytona 500 for the modifieds.
Well, just the whole area in general. Like, the place was packed. Couldn't get in or out. It was full of campers. These tracks, it's like when they have one day.
There's the man.
Caveat, we spoke to Brad Keselowski a little bit earlier, and he's going to be on here. He talked about this. Like, the tracks that have one date seem to do more
to get
people there. And
it really showed out with this
weekend.
One. I would say that the attendance, if the Cup Series was 95% capacity, I would say that the modified truck race was like 70.
Yeah.
Like, really strong for a Saturday.
I was skeptical of the time of the modified race because I feel as though the last couple modified races, Wilkesboro, they had a race at Richmond, and then even like the Bowman Gray Clash. Like, I feel like the modified races are done before the garage even opens.
Yeah.
Like, there's no intermingling there, and I don't like that because I think it's refreshing for the Cup Garage to be around some short track guys every now and then. And the way the schedule had played out, it's like, yeah, we don't want that kind of mixed up. But I did like the 9 a.m. start time for me to walk out with my coffee and watch the race on Flow.
Yeah.
And it seemed like it got a lot of traction because the end was at that time where, like, I think the mid-afternoon everybody's doing stuff.
Yeah.
I think the mid-morning is kind of when you, especially on a Saturday, is when you click on stuff. So I don't know, man. I like the modified race being like in the middle of everything, but I was skeptical at first, but it was a good time.
I don't know what all goes into, all the things you have, all the hoops they have to jump through to do a weekend schedule, but I would have agreed. I would have liked to seen the modified race be on like Saturday evening after Cup P&Q. I think that's arguably the best show of the weekend, historically speaking, and we saw another historically awesome finish between Justin Bonsignor and Tyler Rypkema. He's going to be calling in on the show here shortly. Excited to talk to him on the end of that race. And then after that race, we got to go trucking. Did a little practice qualifying on Friday, qualified 8th, which after practice I thought we were a 6th to 9th place car, so that kind of fell right in line with I thought where we were at. And there was some action first corner.
Oh, dude. Yes, there was.
Corey Heim, the pole sitter on the outside. Chandler Smith on the inside. It's been 8
But you were almost. So the 77 truck sounds like you've been pushing and prodding them like, hey, we got to get a little better. We got a little better.
Yeah.
Qualified better.
Yep. Raced better.
First lap. Whoa.
So.
Tank slapper from. Is that Tanner Gray?
Tanner Gray. So I learned this. So you forget because. So you forget how the splitter, how harsh it is.
That's what I was going to ask.
And low air with those things are so sensitive to your splitter height. When you're on low air pressure, it'll eat on the splitter. And when it gets on the splitter, it'll freaking, like front tires, and it's real bumpy on the bottom. So you saw Tanner Gray left front hit the apron, get those washboard bumps, chop into the back of the 88, spawn out both of them, grab the gear.
It hits the splitter, and then when the front wheels finally catch, you got so much wheel into it from hitting the splitter that you get free, and then you just do that like dish rag up the track.
So that's what happened. Got in the back of the 88, right off the front bumper of mine, so luckily we didn't get any damage there, and we got a couple spots. And then we just kind of settled in fifth, ran fifth pretty much the whole run there. We went kind of back and forth. Some strategy, got buried in track position, drove back to the top 10, ended up 8th. So nobody's popping champagne bottles after that because I feel like we are capable of more. We are still several steps behind the 11 truck. Those guys are super strong. But I think that we know what we can do.
Does it not make you want to race trucks next year?
No.
Really?
No.
So is this going to be it, these next couple races?
I think so.
Just going to call it a career?
Well,
be a TV guy.
I think, I like doing TV. I think I'm gonna start up this carbon fiber business, and if NASCAR wants to keep doing the show, I'll keep doing the show because I like doing it and having the platform to talk about life and racing. But yeah, like trucks aren't particularly fun to drive, and also like smashing my head up against the wall, metaphorically.
Well, just don't crash.
No, I'm talking about just metaphorically, like you're fighting a battle that is just if you're not doing it yourself, like you deal with all the bull, all the.
Well,
this is why we can't
stuff of
do
being
it.
On a team, right?
We can't do a new body build. Well, we can't build it this way because GN this and simulation that. I'm tired of fighting those battles. So, if I had a really good opportunity call, then sure I'll entertain the conversation. But like there's like 10 other things that I could be doing right now to start what the next chapter looks like, and I think I'm going to start focus on that. Now, I'll entertain Daytona 500 offers because I think I can compete for a win in a decent car there, and made the race the hard way a couple times. So I think I bring some value to a team, and you could also make about a year's worth of pay in 1 week. So I'll look at that. But yeah, like truck offers, I'm not entertaining. Cup offers, there's really not any because it's just what it is, right? You get out of you lose your seat, the music stops, and they plug somebody else that's cheaper and comparable that can do the same job. So yeah, I think, but nonetheless, that doesn't change how much passion I have to go win, and it's frustrating going to the racetrack knowing that you are going to run 5th to 9th on a great day, and that's what we've been doing lately. So hopefully we can get those things even better, but unfortunately that's about where we're going to be, besides, Talladega and the Roval this week or next week. So I hope we can go win one of those, but it is what it is. So yeah, finish 8th. That's it.
It seemed like it was a decent race. I didn't get to watch the full truck race because we were out and about all day Saturday, but it seemed like it was a decent race. But the Cup race, man, was
awesome.
Way better than expected.
It was way better than expected. It was super entertaining to watch. We were driving home in the motorhome, 14 and a half hours. So
Did you stop on the Jersey Turnpike?
I did. We stopped. I said we put the slides out. I'm spitting a lot today. We stopped at a rest stop somewhere, one of those rest stops that are, has some guy's name is the rest stop. And I
Sean Brennan rest stop.
The Sean Brennan Ryan Flying Flores Memorial
not dead yet.
Service area. I asked Kelly, I said, "This is the first time. Is that the first time you ever slept in a rest area?" She said, "Why the hell would I ever sleep in a rest area?" That's a good point. I've slept in several.
Yeah, racing, man.
You just get a little cat nap, fire the dually up, and keep it moving.
We were talking. We got this. We pull in to Laconia Airport yesterday, and all the teams get their cars. Like the 34 had like a Wagoneer, and we had a Enterprise. It was like decaled Enterprise. It was like a shuttle bus, like a 15-passenger van. It was like driving a small loaf of bread. And I'm like, look at this thing. They're like, man, this. They were talking about it sucking or like it being weird, and I was like, man, when I used to go modified racing, we had a dually with a cap on the back of it. And I was the youngest. I was like 15, 16 years old. We'd be coming down here from New Jersey to North Carolina to race, and there was like a army cot that they had in the back of the dually, like in just the fiberglass. I had no access to the cab. I was just like back there.
That's your house.
For free.
Yeah.
I was going racing for free. I was like, it's still better. Flying and driving this van is still better than that. But I'm glad we've moved to the point where we're about this van.
First world problems. What do we got going on the Cup race?
The first clip that Higgy's got here is SVG, Josh Berry, the Penske cars fired off super fast. And right away, Blaney dropped like a rock. But he's number 1 on passing. I think he's number 8 on restarts, right? Those go hand in hand.
Yeah, maybe like the reason why he's number 1 is because he gives them all up the first couple laps of a run and then gets them back.
The 12 notoriously dumps track position at certain times, whether it be strategy calls or, like it makes it easier for Hassler to call like, hey, we're just going to put 4 on it because I know Ryan's so fast and he's going to pass everybody. We don't have to get creative by putting 2 or put ourselves in a deficit.
Well, there's also setup philosophies when it comes to short runs or long runs. A little bit less so with this car because, there's so many things connected. So generally teams will go with very similar setup philosophies. We saw, obviously, Team Penske's overall setup was spot on. 2311s.
Spot
off. We're ripping off the other podcast, but that's what they were. They were bad. So
I can't believe the 3 Penske cars were that good and the 2 was that bad. That was tough. I wonder what. I don't know. Like I worked there, but I don't know what that.
Well,
that's driver preference or that's. I
mean, it doesn't take much, dude. It takes 1 round of rear bar preload for that left rear to be attached or to be able to drive. But you see potentially the 12. He was so good on the long run, they might have been a little bit softer with the rear to keep. Or a little bit lower on air pressure, maybe. So if you're lower on air pressure, it doesn't fire off for the first couple laps because it doesn't make as much tire grip. So we saw 2 different philosophies. I think the 77 was one of the better cars firing off speed. Was really able to blast off and pass some cars on restarts. 88 did a good job too. Every time I looked up, first couple laps, first couple runs, SVG was in the top 5. So that was cool to see at one of the hardest, most challenging ovals that we go to. SVG
squirts the throttle here and gets into the 21. I think he gets beat around so much that he finally just says, screw it.
Yeah, that's what combination with that was. Like, here, I've got a good car. Now, 2 guys fighting for the same spot. The 88's trying to get a little bit of an exit bend. The 21's trying to keep him pinched off. And
the 21 and the 22 almost had a couple run-ins like this because the 22, when he got to the lead, he was doing a good job kind of parking it and getting to the bottom, getting big left rear drive off the corner.
Yeah.
And the 21 kind of poked his nose in there a couple times when the 22 got pointed, and it was like, you're both at different spots of the corner and how you're throttling up.
And how you shape the corner.
And, you're trying to fill, but this guy's coming down already. So they just collided, and that was part of it. And it set the 21 back, and I was like, man, that sucks because it's such a track position race. To see him come back later in the race with a chance to win, I was like, man, they must have been seriously really strong. I think they were on the day looking at Racing Insights. They were second on speed.
They were blazing fast. So really cool to see Josh Berry recover from that incident and drive back with really a chance to win. A little bit of a tire disadvantage, how it all shook out there at the end. But solid day for what those guys needed. John Wood and the whole Wood Brothers bunch needed a rebound for that 3-race skid, so that was cool to see them. I think Josh Berry, what did he run, 3rd or 4th there last year? So he's obviously got a good feel for that place. Somebody's going to have a real feel in this competition meeting. I'm assuming that's today. Sometimes they're Tuesdays, but they might go ahead and move this one up a day because they got some stuff to talk about between the 11 and the 54.
I just hate that. What I hate for the whole situation is that these are the highlights that we're getting of Ty Gibbs because I think he's supremely talented. I think he's got an amazing opportunity. And I just don't know how, I think he's young and he needs guidance. And I think you lean on Denny as one of those guys to guide you.
Yeah.
So to be in this situation, I mean, if the 20 car gets wrecked here, this is a bad day for the organization. Ooh. And it was very, very close.
Yep.
It's already tarnished enough, but like, man, you're 3 feet away from the 20 having the nose ripped off too.
Well, I didn't realize how close the 20 was, just because I wasn't really watching. I was watching the 11, right? And you're listening to Denny's radio, and he's on there like.
54 and the 11, listening to Denny Hamlin.
I know for a championship. What the?
Some frustration out of the veteran driver, hoping his younger teammate may concede between him and Bell being stuck behind him, racing for a championship. I'm on either side of this. I think if we were inside the top 5,
God, they did such a good job here. They literally put the side-by-side of the drivers in-car cameras right here.
This is the one right here where the 54 kind of hung on his right rear after he ran him up. That it's like, what? It seems.
It didn't even last a few laps.
Here we go. Here's where he spins him out. So you can go the Larry. You can go like the Larry Mack route of like, I don't want to ever hear anybody saying about racing too hard, right? Like that's one way. But there's also an etiquette that there is between drivers, and there's also an etiquette between teammates, especially one that's in the playoffs and not in the playoffs. And there are certain things that maybe the common race fan doesn't understand about the etiquette of it. But when you, like, Brad will say later that he chopped them. He was right behind it. The 54 chopped them. Like, it's the 5-10 laps leading up to it. It's the conversations during the week of what the team's going to do in certain situations.
What's the expectation?
And what the expectations are that you set with your teammate of, in this situation, this is how it's going to be. So when you get into those situations and you have a plan with your team and
I could even also,
somebody doesn't do that, right? It's like, what? Well, what's the problem? Do you have a problem with me? Is there a beef? Did I do something to make you mad? So that's where I think that like whole conversation is like, what the hell? How is there such a breakdown of?
Yeah.
How is there such a breakdown of a clip coming out of Chris Gabehart saying, "Hey, the championship runs through this building. It runs through us. We're undefeated." To this huge tarnish on the organization of, hey, now we're wrecking each other. Right. So like that is the week to week stuff that makes this so hard.
Well. And I could add to that, and all those are accurate. I could add, too, that there's the driver relationship, right? Because if that was the 19 in that position out of the playoffs racing the other guys, like, I don't think it's handled like that. I don't think he hangs on the door. If you look at the down and distance as well, that's second stage, right? First stage is early in the race. Second stage. Down and distance was like, why are we all choking each other up? Like,
and the caveat, the other part of it is you're racing that hard with your teammate when your other teammate's right behind them. You're putting a whole company at risk here, because if you wreck, if the 54 does something, bounces off the fence, hits the 11, hits the 20, now you got two cars out.
Well, before that even, the 20 was giving his best shot to the 54, and the 20 was just wrapping the bottom for like 8 laps. The 54 was stuck middle, maybe when Noah passed a bunch of cars on the outside. The 54 was trying to pass the 4. The 20 was like, I got to go somewhere, starts rolling the bottom. He ran down there, gave him plenty of room for like 8 laps. The 4 kind of gets like the little loose off and comes off the wall, hits the 54, and the 54 hit the 20. And then the 54 just gives him a door smack at the start-finish line.
Oh, boy.
And then the 11 fills, right, and everybody kind of sorts herself out, and then all that stuff progresses. So it's like,
I mean,
if I'm sitting here looking at it, Ty Gibbs, nobody's a bigger fan of you than I am. I think you have all the ability in the world. In whatever situation that you can, like, he's going to be successful, I believe. But this is not the stuff that you want to deal with. Just concede 2 spots and let the guys in the playoffs go on. Learn something from them.
Say, Danny wrote here, there's more radio. Let's hear this.
Let's hear all the radio.
Are they afraid to talk to him? That's what I feel like. They're just scared of him.
I don't know the answer to that right now. I'm just focused on trying to get the 11 the best finish. We'll talk about it after, I promise.
40 rolling to you. Side 11. Yellow's out.
Steve, you've been in these situations, right? Team dynamics.
Tony Hirschman's yellow's out. Nothing. I mean, Tony's one that doesn't put fuel on the fire, right? He had to calm Kyle Busch down for years, and
top 3 spot on roof.
You know, I would say there's a little bit to, if Denny's frustrated with Ty, know that Ty's been watching you and Kyle Busch his whole career.
Yeah.
Right? And you know, this is how the kids perceive how the sport is because of what you guys have done. Now, am I saying that it's their fault? No. But there's a lot of stuff like this with
there's no more
Denny
give.
And Kyle and
well, the etiquette is there's no more give, right? There's only take no matter what situation, and if you don't have the alternatives perspective on it, you don't have to have the alternatives perspective on it, then you're never going to ever give in any situation, even if it's of benefit to the entire company. And that's what we saw there. So I'm curious what happens about that. I'm definitely going to listen to the other podcasts. I'm curious what he says. Now, I also, one of my favorite things too is to hear when drivers go full race car driver mode. Like, everything's great. Yeah, I'm excited to go next week.
I'm not going to say. I mean, hey, shout out to Kim Kuhn for asking the hard questions. Right?
Two of them. Pow, pow.
Like, she has to. And she put out a great tweet this morning. Like, yeah, you got to ask the question. This is journalism. So
I love it. She's
got to ask the questions. If they're going to answer or not, then that is what it is. He's going to say whatever they need to say. But like I said, Ty Gibbs is way too good for his career to be going like this and him to be perceived the way he's perceived. Obviously, he's been through probably hell and back in his personal life. But
Brad talk about that too. It's good you bring that up. Like, Brad, I don't want to spoil anything here, but Brad talks about how your priorities change and where you get satisfaction and joy from. And if you're a single guy young, you are defined by your results, right? And when it goes bad, it can go downhill, snowball down the hill in a hurry. When you have your teammates winning, you drive for your grandpa's team, right? You don't have anybody around you necessarily that tells you what you need to hear. And it can be a dark place to go in terms of just your confidence. I've been there. It sucks, and it sucks to get, and it's hard to get yourself up by your bootstraps. And I tell you that an instance like that does not help. So,
well, when you're driving cup cars, man, there's a lot of people telling you how great you are all the time too, even when you are messing up, just because their relationships are transactional, right? It's very seldom that you get people to tell you the actual truth.
Right.
So, I don't know, man. There's a lot to unpack there. I'm glad I don't have to unpack it. I just, like I said, I think Ty Gibbs is great. This is the longest active winless streak for a driver trying to get their first win in JGR. And I don't think any of us had that circled as hot as he was as he came on the scene.
He was Connor Zillage red hot in the Xfinity Series.
So, but I do think, once he wins one, the floodgates can open for him. I just don't know. It's like these Hayden Deegan-esque clip-outs from him all the time of this chip on his shoulder that he doesn't have to have.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. I hope that there's somebody in that camp that can get through to him, let him know how great he is, but these low lights got to go away to propel yourself to the next level. It's got to be super hard. I can't imagine the stuff that Coach Joe Gibbs goes through with that. But moving on. We got the 88 and the 6, but we're going to have Brad break that down here in a little bit more. I saw you guys in the group chat yesterday during the race. I was down in the trenches. We were having a day on the 38. But the 42 wrecked. What happened here? I heard it was a pretty hard wreck.
So if you look at it before we ride along in-car camera, right when you go across, if you're watching us on YouTube or Tubi or wherever you would watch us, we have a great – hang on, don't roll it yet. There's a road course at New Hampshire. So right there's an out and an in, and which is a historically notorious road course. Well, over time, it wears out, and because you have cars going, perpendicular to the racing surface, so that's right where you're getting into the brake zone.
So it's a bump. It becomes a
multiple
dip
bumps,
or a
right?
bump, okay.
Because you're going over two different parts of the road course in a row. Roll it now. There's 1, 2. Pow, 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 pow. So the 42 gets in there, and him in the 40, he doesn't have the momentum. He's running side by side. Ooh. Yikes! Big crash out of the 42.
That's one of those head back into the head.
Oh yeah. So it's right when he downshifts, that thing starts to porpoise, and he it was a combination of too much rear brake probably for the instance he was in, and the downshift timing. So you're already rear grip limited. That thing's starting to hop. So now you're on the verge of locking it up. You downshift. Now it chirps the tires, and then it's
dude,
over.
That thing was. I wonder if the G's were on the hit because
it's massive.
The left front's a foot in the air.
The whole car's a foot in the air.
Pow. Oof.
So hopefully John Hunter's all right. Yeah, I mean Jeff Burton said it well, right? We take for granted. Here we go, riding along with him. Listen, right there. He was good until he banged it. Oh my God! And I tell you, man, I've crashed my fair share. You feel like you are half inch tall.
Oh no!
You feel like you are a half inch tall when you just wreck on your own like that. Man, it sucks.
Yeah.
Jeff Burton said it well. He's like, man, those wrecks stay with you. I don't care how old you are, how young you are. When you hit like that, you are partly cloudy for a couple of days. That hurts. So,
one guy that came back from
knocked the dust off.
Could come back from spinning out as his 21 car, but there was a big slip when he was chasing the 12. I didn't see it.
He was giving him all he wanted.
Oh, yeah, a big slip in the 3. The same spot. All right, you mistimed that bump like you said.
Mm-hmm. Here we go. Listen to the timing of the downshift. Right there.
Whoa. Well, 5 mile an hour too fast.
Not even, man. You're like, these cars are, 2-3 miles an hour is kind of your threshold of where you're on the verge of that right rear slipping, and then it'll just lose a little bit of traction and it'll chatter like. And then Ryan Blaney, best car all day, set sail and brings it home for the magic mile. Passes, what are they? The granite strip. Does he kiss the granite? No. There is a granite strip right across start finish line.
I told them one thing they need to work on is victory lane there. It is just an extension of the coach lot. It needs to be on the front stretch.
It's coach lot, pickleball court, victory lane.
The lobster's cool, but it's an awkward victory lane. But yeah, that 21, man. I was nervous there for the 12 because the 12 hadn't put 2 tires on all day.
Mm-hmm.
They had just done 4 and they did 2 at the end because they're like, we don't want to give up track position.
Yeah.
And when the 21 started reeling back in, I'm like, oh no, they lost the balance because they didn't. I think he said later. Usually you tend to get tight on 2, but he said he got free on 2.
The 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read that in post race, but man, I also the 21's not. As far as Gibbs' teammates not working together well, I think the Penske team Gakes worked really well together. And I don't know, man.
I'm curious. There's multiple layers set on you there if you wanted to unpack it. But, I think that Josh had the opportunity to, stuff it in there when the 12 was trying to get a diamond and drive off the bottom. Had he not won Vegas, right, if he's still searching for his first career win, he might play that a little bit different. But you like to see when a plan works out.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. Do you think that anybody can catch up to this 12 team for Phoenix?
Well, you heard Chris Gabehart post-race that, I saw an interview. I don't know where it was. I assume Bob or somebody. Steven, was Tarantino? Steve. But he was saying, here come the yellow cars again, right, referring to the 12 and the 22.
Yep.
1 mile flat, very similar to what we're going to be seeing at Phoenix here in a month and a half.
Yeah, but we've been good there at the 12 before, but not as good as the 20. Right? It's just like finally figured it out. But I feel like we've been the 21, and then the 20's just been the other. It's been like we've been good, but then the 20.
Yeah.
This week everybody was there and decent, but then there was the 12 that was so much better than everybody else.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's be scary for the next bunch now that there's a group in Penske that can just start working on the round of 8.
Yeah.
They don't have to worry about Kansas. They don't have to worry about Roval. They can just start working on the round of 8, move on through that, and work on Phoenix.
So what's that look like, right? Every team on that side of the garage has 7 cars worth of parts and pieces, right? You're racing one any given week. There's a trailer queen, you call her, the backup car that kind of rides along for a couple weeks at a time. Are they working only on a Vegas, Martinsville, Phoenix? Is there teams just solely looking at 3 races worth of prep?
I would say that you are less focused on, your stuff for Kansas and Roval is done, but your energy and time is spent, okay, what do we do for the next 3? What data can we look at here? Because it's, at least the way Penske operates, I believe, is like they have pretty much an open notebook. So if he's working on something for the 12 and they can trickle down to the 22 and the 2, it's going to make everybody stronger. Just like last year we saw at Phoenix, the 22 won Vegas.
Yeah.
And then the 12 was just as strong, if not stronger, come Phoenix because of all of that. So Joey says it, the first round of the round of 8 is the most important race of the year. I'd say that because you have a 3-week head start on everybody else. He said that last year.
Yeah.
I think the round of 12 is the same way. You have that head start now. The round of 8 is unique with Talladega in it. Vegas, Talladega, Martinsville. 3 very different tracks. But Talladega, man, you have one bad day You
gotta win,
and not even that stages there.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like it gets tough, but
gets real tricky.
If anybody, Ryan Blaney's the only guy racing to be in the round of 8 right now, so they have the best shot at the championship for sure. The fastest driver, the fastest car, so we'll see how they do. Yeah.
What now?
Let's go ahead and get
Brad in.
Brad.
Let's just. I want you guys to hear this. Buckle up. Brad Keselowski, driver of the number 6 2012 Cup champion, coming on Stacking Pennies Up right after this. All right, guys, we are back. The guests we've been talking about, we've been trying to get them in the Nonsense Garage for a long time. Please help me. Welcome to the Nonsense Garage, 2012 NASCAR Cup Series champion and part owner of RFK Racing, Brad Keselowski.
Yay! I love how you put that in. We've been trying to get him on for a while. You have.
We have, but
I'm elusive.
You are elusive. You got a lot of stuff going on.
I do, days, yeah. Bro. Yeah, I mean, it's mostly good. You know, you got the 4 kids.
Tell me about that a little bit, because I'm going there too.
Yeah, I'm working my way through it still. You know, last night we were about 4 or 5 hours of sleep, but you know, that's my wife. She was a lot less than I was, so she probably doesn't want to hear me.
It's a tough spot. Yeah, it's a tough spot. You can't ask how'd you sleep?
No,
I'm not gonna get a good answer.
No, not as well as you did. I still didn't sleep that great, but no, but it's still good, right? And the other 3 are doing awesome, so that's helpful. My oldest daughter, Scarlett, you know, she travels with me now to some of the races, which is fun. So she came with me to New Hampshire, and I thought I was doing my wife a favor. Then I got that, but she's the easy one. Like, what?
Yeah.
Still work though, right? Like,
yeah. Well, it's relieving the pressure of all 3 of them at the house. That's my kick.
Yes.
So we drove the bus to New Hampshire this weekend. Spent a couple days with Grandpa in Connecticut. That 14.5-hour trip on the way back.
Oh, brutal.
It's brutal. Brutal for her. I just put my earplugs in and watched the race on my phone the entire way back.
Oh, no.
But I got to buy her a massage or something this week to get her out. She is the MVP this week. But how has having kids, now you said you got 4. I'm sure since you came in, talk about 2012 champion, right? A lot of things have changed since then. And what drives Brad Keselowski to remain at the peak level of the sport?
Well, some people would say that having kids is not necessarily good for a race car driver, and I've heard that before. I felt like the years I ran in Cup before I was married or had kids, I mean, they were great. Don't get me wrong, but like the bad days, man, you would get in a big hole mentally, and after having kids, the bad days, were not so bad, right? You get a lot more perspective. And also the good days I enjoy more. So I think, candidly, I'm just happier.
Yeah. How do you balance it, though? I felt that strain, last year and the last 16 months, because there is no amount of information as a Cup driver now or a Cup team that you can intake. Like there's
there's more info than there is brain space.
Right. So how do you balance being a dad, being an owner, being a driver?
Well, I think first and foremost, you need to be surrounded by really good people to make it easy on you. And then you need to challenge them to, whatever workload you have, make it of value. Because whether it's studying, like I could study for 6 weeks for the next race, and I still wouldn't get all the information there is. I wouldn't retain it, right? Like any other test or quiz. It's like, okay, well, I don't really need all the information. I need the information that's important, that's going to make me better, and it's not 6 weeks, right? And so, trying to decipher it with, your team and find the information that matters is important. Make sure you have time to, stay in shape physically. And I think those are the 2 biggest pieces for me.
So I think Corey talked about, like, Hocevar, right? All he has to focus on is driving the race car as fast as we possibly can. So what you're saying is when you have way more on your plate, you have to be more efficient with your time.
Absolutely. You have to be way more efficient. And there's to your point about Hocevar, there's pluses and then there's negatives, right? I'm sure he's going through the same roller coaster that any single guy does in racing, where you're completely defined by what you do on the racetrack, and I mean completely. And you have no levity to your life, right? And that can be great when you talk about focus, and it can be absolutely awful when things aren't going your way.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what intrigues me so much about you, and just being a fan, being a fellow competitor to you the last couple of years, of how mentally, we talked about it in your hauler a couple weeks ago at Daytona. Resilient, was that the word that we were talking about?
That was the word, resilience.
Right, and I feel like that's what the Keselowski as a whole, Bob, your dad, just the Keselowski is a family in racing and motorsports, are a resilient bunch. So how do you take that chant of resilience and instill it in RFK? And it seems like that's starting to, because I looked at the points yesterday, all three of you guys, right? Chris, Ryan, and I think you're a point or a spot, maybe two behind them.
Yeah. We're all together.
All together, yes. Right? But, that's a good thing, but also it might not be a bad thing.
We're all together. We're just not all together high enough in the points.
Right.
know? I think for me, and my approach has been to, try not to be results-based, try to be values-based with how we work and what we do. We have a lot of opportunity for growth still. We need to be better. We need to win races. We're doing everything we really need to do other than win races across all three of our teams.
What were the emotions last week?
Good and bad. It's good to be in position. It's terrible to miss out on it. I've had 8 second-place finishes in the last 2.5 years, and you got to make your seconds wins in the sport. It's all the format until you get to the playoffs is about winning, which is, I get another subchapter.
That's sore subject.
Yeah, but it is. It is and isn't. But it's strange to me that it's all about winning until you get to the playoffs, and it's not at all about winning once you do get in the playoffs. It's about consistency,
raising your points threshold to a certain number. To advance.
You're the first driver I worked for when I started with you that was like, okay, this is how many points we need to score per race. You were like, we need to have a 40-point day for these.
Yeah, it's simple math, right? You look at the stats and. The first round, it's 25 to 30 points around. The second round, it's mid 30s, and the third round, you have to score in the 40s. It's really that simple.
Now, does that, listening to you say that, does that make winning during the regular season even more important?
It does, absolutely. It's completely inverse of what I think it was represented to be, at least on the onset, of where winning matters more in the regular season, less in the postseason.
And then all in Phoenix or all in Homestead.
Yes,
right?
Yep.
Well, and stage points.
Well, even then, Blaney won the championship. He didn't win the last race. He was the first guy to do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Chase yesterday talked about it because they were talking about stacking points. And he's like, well, you can't stack points if you qualify bad.
He's right.
So it's the whole race, right? I think about it now.
Weekend.
It's so competitive, and it's so hard because you can't – if you have a bad stage, right, you lose 10 points to the guy on the cut line.
Yes.
So that's the stuff that, you have to be tapped in the whole race, not just you, your crew chief, pit crew, everybody involved. Your spotter on choose, yesterday, a workout for the spotters, figuring out the choose. And then you think you choose right, and then Noah Gregson blasts the fourth lane past everybody.
That was pretty cool.
What do I do?
Yeah. And it's a total team effort, right? This sport, I always say the driver gets 90% of the credit and does 10% of the work. And there's a lot of truth to that.
He's quarterback.
Yeah. But, if you best quarterback in the world, if he throws it to a wide-open wide receiver and he drops it, he doesn't look like a great quarterback.
Right.
So, okay, good point. The driver gets 90% of the credit, does 10% of the work.
Completely
makes
inversed.
the most money.
Yeah.
Why the hell are you putting so much more on your plate? Because that sounds pretty nice just to be a driver. Why do you want to go own one of these things?
I'm not complaining about that part, right?
But you put a lot more on your plate, right?
Yeah, well, it's because I want to win. And I feel like if I can have more control over the ecosystem, I can drive our chances to success.
How much of that comes from, how much of wanting to own a team comes from watching your father own a team when you were young?
A little bit. I hesitate to say none at all, but it's not a primary motivator for me. My biggest motivation is I just firmly believe that wherever you can control your own destiny, you should do so. And if you can own the team, now I don't own the team outright. I'm a partner in the team, but if you can own the team outright and be, totally in charge of whatever decisions are made, you can fully own the accountability.
I love that. Let's talk about that more because I think there's a lot of stuff there. Whether you're a NASCAR Cup driver / owner or just anybody trying to find their way in life. I've been on this big kick lately just about tension, life tension and putting yourself up against challenges. how is your framework of like, are you seeking challenges? Are you trying to fix them? Like, what is your friction like of where you feel like you're?
I'm a whack-a-mole guy, you know?
Yeah.
I swear it's my week is a week of whack-a-mole. Like, oh, we need to solve this problem. Like, you hit this one, another one pops up, and you put out fires, and you try to have vision so that you're not just a firefighter all the time. So vision giving you like, all right, long-term guidance, here's where we want to go. All right, now give me all the fires, and we'll see how many I can put out this week.
I think you have to live your life like whack-a-mole because it's so week to week. Like as a race car driver.
Yes.
So, like I've wondered that myself, and just being on tire change side, I'm like, I can't plan because I don't know what next week's going to throw me. I don't know how many weeks how many days I'm going to have to practice. If we lay an egg this week, we're going to have to go in extra. So like, it's got to be super hard as an owner of this sport too, like how fluid everything is.
Yes, you know, but I have a couple natural advantages. You know, I tell people all the time that, you know, RFK has the quickest feedback loop in sports, right? Because, you know, I'm going to race, and then I'm going to come back, and I'm immediately address the problems that I know how to address. Where, you know, different teams are going to have different structures, and that's not trying to dig on them, but, you know, I can immediately say, all right, I know exactly what the problem is because I was there and I was in the car, and I know what we need to be working on.
So you started off with kind of the Hendrick system with juniors, and then you're in the Penske system for a long time. How much of kind of those two did you work into building your own system?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a lot that I appreciate, and then having worked with Jack as well, you know, they all bring different strengths to the table. And, you know, I try to bring a few of my own things, but candidly, there's enough to learn from those three to be successful in its own way. You know, there's things I really loved about working with Roger Penske. You know, he's super committed to having nice stuff, having long-term partnerships. You know, and there was a lot of things that I was very privileged to be a part of there. Same thing with Rick Hendrick. Rick Hendrick was probably the best people person I've ever seen in my life. Understood how to motivate people, how to, you know, push them to be their best while still holding them accountable. And then Jack Roush is, to me, the best person I've ever seen working within the lanes of accountability. Really, really good at immediate and effective accountability. And so all three of them are like, okay, there's something to be learned here.
I was always curious, you prime of your career, leaving Penske, arguably the best team in the garage, and clearly this weekend shows still remaining. Going to, you know, Roush-Fenway at the time, what those meetings were like, and you're a very well-read guy. How much did you have to prepare for those conversations with the board or whoever to like carve your own path into this thing?
Yeah, but still ongoing.
yeah,
I would say, but you know, RFK is different than I think all other race teams. It's the only one I know of that is run by a board. So different structure for sure. You know, most other race teams are not run that way. Maybe Trackhouse is now. I'm not entirely sure what their operating structure is. So there's a lot of time where like, okay, here's the direction I want to go. Let's go make it happen. Now I got to, you know, present it in front of our group and try to get buy-in and, you know, whatever percentage I can hit on that.
Right.
So it's different for sure. It makes me have to work through a problem more diligently and address how it actually the solution actually works and provide clarity to, you know, how certain I am it's going to work. Which it's a challenge.
So let's zoom out a little bit from RFK specifically and just look at the sport from a 30,000-foot scope. You have seen, how many generations of car have you driven?
I drove the next gen. Obviously, this is the car we're in now. The gen was at 6.
What was your first Cup race ever?
Gen 5. My first Cup race was the COT car.
Okay.
Dude, I watched you win that Mikosuke race from like
that was it.
Right there because we had wrecked and Roush. I was at Roush at the time.
Which car were you on?
26.
26, okay.
What year did you win?
09, yep.
26. And we had wrecked, and we were sitting right there to start finish line, and I watched that happen. Like,
it was epic.
It felt like it took 10 minutes. Yeah. And I was a fabricator, so I built the 99.
Oh.
So we had to go look. But, like, we had to go look at it. It was like, holy shit, is he okay?
Yeah.
Because it ripped the floor pan out of it and
it was
everything.
nasty.
You're really sidetracking this question I just asked him. Back to NASCAR.
Well, no.
That was a fun fact, though. There's probably somebody listening or watching like, oh.
But, like, there was that was your first year racing, was that?
That was not my first year. It was I made a few starts that year. My first full season was 2010.
2010.
So, with that being said, now you're in it 15 years plus.
Yep.
We've seen the sport evolve, and arguably the peak of NASCAR in terms of spectators and TV numbers was before that, like 08, 9, 10.
06, I would say, yeah.
Okay. I think our phones and the way people intake content, we've talked about this off camera a lot of times, but I could argue that the sport hasn't been healthier with charter system and income and TV deals, media rights deals. So when you look at a 30,000 feet about the sport, where do you say to the union, where do you feel like it is and where it's going?
The number one problem with this sport right now is the model with the tracks is the number one issue, hands down, in my opinion. The tracks aren't able to generate enough revenue on their own. They're wholly reliant on the TV money. And they're comfortable with that, which is the scariest part of all. And so that creates a subset of problems that flow down through the ecosystem where we don't promote enough to the fans that are at the track to sell tickets. We cascade into other issues where the teams have to,
because they're not necessarily incentivized.
Not incentivized to, they're kind of the costs are
right
mostly covered before the day ever starts, and that flows down into revenue problems for the teams, which makes the teams wholly reliant on sponsorship. And that creates another subset of issues where your authenticity of your drivers and your people in the sport is decreased because they're beholden to representing, Fortune 500 companies, or they don't have a job. And there's a cascading set of, flow down problems. The charter system, I agree with the intent of it. And I think it actually has helped in a lot of ways, which might not be easy to see unless you're in the weeds with the details. But it's a reflection itself of the fact that the teams needed some protection against a revenue model that's just not strong enough to sustain them. You look at any other professional sports, and the team's costs are good, right? They don't have to raise a tremendous amount. And then you look at NASCAR, and it's 60 to 70% comes from sponsorship, partnership. But anyway, that cascades itself into fan issues, team issues, all kinds of things. And I can't entirely blame it on the track. Some of it's just the system.
Yep.
You look at your typical sports team. We're in Carolina right now. Carolina Panthers. You have the Charlotte Hornets. Their arena costs for a large part are paid for by the city. They get constant cash flow from
hot dogs,
whatever grant the city gives them on any given decade of 10, 20, $100 million. NASCAR doesn't have that, so they're beholden to a different model. And so it works its way into a subset of problems that I think just flow down into the sport and hurt it in a number of ways. I would start there personally, that the tracks need to find a new revenue streams and pass. Now, some of them have done a good job at that, but not enough. I would look at, let's take a Las Vegas Motor Speedway, or even here in Charlotte, where they have a lot of external events to drive revenue, participation, engage the community, and I commend them for that. But others have not been able to do that, and it's a big roadblock for our sport.
I got a really dumb question, because I only know what the people who I talk to and what I read on Bob Pockrass's Twitter feed, right, when it comes to this lawsuit. And I have a broad question of, I don't understand exactly what 2311 and Front Row would consider a win. What are they fighting for?
Yeah. My understanding, although they haven't said this, so this would be my opinion, is they're really fighting for three things. This is, again, my understanding. The first one being there's a non-competition, non-compete clause. So if you're a NASCAR Cup Series team holder, you're only allowed to compete in certain other sports, and there's exclusions in there.
With the car.
Yeah, no, not just with the car, just as a whole, your ownership group.
Okay.
And I think that rubbed them the wrong way. Not that they're competing in other series, but I think that thought hurt their feelings. I think the charter system itself they wanted to see become permanent. I know that's something that's a big agenda item for them. Obviously, they all want more revenue. Everybody wants more revenue. So I would put that as the third one. And then governance rights, which ultimately is, hey, if you're going to make a rules change, the teams need to be consulted for approval first. I think those are probably the biggest ones. There's probably some initial ones with additional revenue streams, like let's say sports betting and so forth, that would allow them to have more access to that. But I think those are probably the key areas, and I hesitate to say which one is a priority for them. I candidly don't know, but I think that's what they're trying to achieve. I don't know if I think they're going to achieve that.
They're fighting like hell.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are, but yet to be seen. I think it's very much a jump ball in my eyes as to what happens when they have their court case.
It's an expensive jump ball.
Very expensive, yeah.
While we're on this topic, and be pretty broad on it, but are the teams that are not in this lawsuit nervous watching it?
A little. I mean, I think it's highly unlikely that the court system rules in any way that is hurtful to the existing teams. And in fact, if anything, I think that's one of the clearest things that I've been able to ascertain just reading some of the transcripts from the judge that's presiding.
What's ascertain right quick?
Ascertain, realize.
Okay, thank you for that.
Kind of gather data on.
Okay.
Man, just act like you know.
I don't know.
Damn it.
I was like, that's an SAT.
Don't make us look dumb.
But, I would say that the judge seems very keen on not hurting the current signed charter teams.
All right, let's get out of that.
Yeah, let's get out. Shift gears. How do we fix the car?
So, I want to know, because let's speak openly. I started at Roush, 2007. I was there 7, 8, 9, 10. 5 cars, Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle, winning races, competing for championships. It took a nosedive, be honest about that. And in the industry, up until recently, nobody wanted to go to Roush. It had this kind of stigma about it that it was hard to work at. You had to put in a lot of hours. Jack would just fire you. Like there was, we all know this, right? We're speaking.
Those are all
openly.
pretty accurate. Yeah.
I lived it. I was appreciative for my time there as a 19-year-old because I needed structure in my life, and it was like college for me. And I went in there, and I learned a lot. It propelled me into a great career. But you get the reins of this place, and it's like, okay, I got to fix the culture here.
Yeah.
How challenging has that been? Where did you start? Like, I have so many questions, and I don't know where to start with my question. But, like, how much of a task is that for you to take on?
Well, it's a big task, and I'm still taking it on. It's not a mission's not accomplished. The mission's not really ever accomplished, but there are signs that you're where you want to be when you can contend for race wins and championships on a weekly or yearly basis. I guess the biggest thing I started with is I kind of have this philosophy, RPP, resources, people, processes, and then your results should flow out of those. And the first thing you start with then is obviously the resources and cleaning the place up, adding the tools you need to have to do your job, so that you can actually be held accountable to it. There was one of the things that I respect tremendously about Jack Roush and the culture he instilled was a high culture of accountability. The biggest problem I saw is a lot of accountability was assigned to people who didn't have the tools to be successful, and that really bothered me. So getting the tools right is the place to start, and then you can come back on the backside of that and say, all right, is there pick your category or department or person, say, all right, is this person good or is this person not good? Well, now that they have the right tools, I can really fairly answer that question. Ascertain, yeah. Way to go, Corey.
Hey, man.
Look at us.
I'm picking up.
Look
English
at
class.
And then you work your way through, okay, if I got the right person, I've got the right resources, and we're still not getting the right results, do we have the right processes? And you try to drive all three of those, and inevitably they're connected.
So has the next gen car made it easier or harder to get people the right tools?
The next gen car itself has made it easier. The harder part for me has been the change to the schedule, where we got rid of practice. By getting rid of practice, it gave I don't know if gave is the right word. It changed the dynamics dramatically of how the sport works. Right now the OEMs have full control over all the major systems of data, right? So,
such as
if you want to put a car in the wind tunnel, you have to get OEM approval because they have a limited hour structure. If you want to test, the OEM gets to pick who goes to the track test. If you want data on how the tires work to feed your simulation, it has to come through the OEM. And those are major data streams, major opportunities. And so what you're seeing is the sport has broke down into Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, and Tier 4 based solely on the OEM structure of any given team or organization. And before, the dynamics were of such to where you had practice, you had testing. If you didn't get what you needed from an OEM, let's maybe take Furniture Row, for example, you would just spend the money, go testing, and figure it out on your own.
Right.
And you could still do that. You can't do that anymore. So it's really, the current structure has fixed Penske, Hendrick, and Gibbs as the Tier 1 teams indefinitely. And until that changes, the next gen is not going to be a success. It's fixed.
What would have to happen globally for the next gen car, quote unquote, to be a success? And what is a success?
Well, success to me is when multiple organizations have opportunities to win if they can execute. Right? Like, I don't want to say hand me victories. No. I mean, like, pick your team, let's say like a colleague, and they execute great on any given Sunday, they have a shot to win. That's probably not the case right now. In fact, I would say it's most certainly not the case.
Yeah.
If they execute flawlessly, they're on top 5.
Yeah, at best, right?
Yeah.
And that
with some breaks.
That's not the goal of the next gen. The next gen car, the goal is if the driver runs a perfect race, the pit crew runs a great race, and the sky doesn't fall on you, you should have an opportunity to win. And that's not the way the current structure is set up.
So how do we fix it?
What it is with the car, it isn't with the OEM landscape and the lack of practice and testing and so forth.
So how do we fix it but also save us from ourselves?
Well, that's a big challenge. Nobody's really came up with a great answer for. I mean, the easy solution to that would be just to add more OEMs so that all the teams have Tier 1 resources. And that's why you see NASCAR being so aggressive to do just that. That's the high tide that raises all ships. Whether that's Chrysler or Dodge, I guess it would be, or whether that's Honda, or pick your other OEM that is rumored on any given day to be joining. And I think NASCAR is all hands on deck on doing just that. But right now the model's stuck.
So short term, since it's stuck.
Indefinitely would be the word.
And it's a tough word. I thought, just as a spectator yesterday, I thought the race was pretty good. Tire wear looked good. Restarts looked. Yeah. I mean, I had anxiety watching in-car cameras on the restarts. I can't imagine what it was like. I don't know why they moved that wall out of foot on that restart.
I know. I found it. Yeah.
Who the hell put that wall there? Do you have that clip, Piggy?
I haven't seen it. I kind of want to see it.
I haven't seen it either.
Oh, he's digging.
I think he was going to let you off the hook and not pull it up. But
I mean, I kind of want to see it now. Yeah, I definitely clobbered the inside wall.
So walk us through this.
So I got underneath the 88, and he came down a little bit, which is fine. And then we got in the middle of the corner, and I can't see what's outside of me.
Ooh, bottom of 5.
And I didn't realize that we were bottom of 5. I thought I was bottom of 3. I didn't even think I was bottom of 4. And so as the 88 was coming down, this little bit of wall stuck out and just barely got my left front tire.
They actually did have a shot of the wall, and it's got a touch of a point there.
Oh, it's got a big point, yeah. I mean, I hit it by maybe 2 or 3 inches. But I did not expect the 88 to keep coming down right here. I should have just let him in. I had no idea that we were 5 wide. You got to keep mine in the car. Like, this isn't the view I have in the car.
Right.
Yeah.
In the car, like, I'm to the left, and I can't see anything to my right.
Right.
Oh, that guy hit a ton.
That was Suarez.
Oh. Yeah, so super unfortunate. I think we were going to run about 10th yesterday, and didn't see that through.
Which just puts the emphasis on aggressiveness on restarts.
Yeah, well, my car was really good on restarts, and so I needed to take advantage of that. And that's kind of where I was going. I wish I would have known that we were 5 wide.
Yeah.
It's a lot to be able to see
in that case, had you known that or had a little more clarity on what was out there, how many were stacked out there. Do you just live to fight another corner?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But, you can see that on TV.
On Monday.
Yeah. You cannot see that in the car.
Let's cross this bridge. Higgy, you got the Denny Hamlin, Ty Gibbs stuff? Your team, put your owner's cap on here. How are you handling this one?
Yeah. Have you kind of brushed
I was right behind this when it happened.
Okay.
First off, I was super surprised that the 54 was racing the 11 as hard as he was.
This is like lap 10,
So
12.
take me there. Like, what is the etiquette that he was that he was showing that was like way out of bounds?
Well, clearly the 11 car's faster. I don't know how the 54 got in front of the 11, but it was pretty clear the 11 car was faster. And he gave him this replay is a little bit later, but he gave him a chop. I think the lap before this, and I think that really set Denny off.
Yeah.
Personally, that's kind of what I see, and I could kind of understand that if I'm Denny.
So he chopped him off of 1 and 2.
I can't remember which corner it was, but he definitely made a chop move on him, and I think Denny took exception.
3 and 4 there, like Denny went in there and like drove him all the way to like the 5th lane. Like, hey man, enough's enough. And then Ty drove back around it, and I was like, oh boy.
Yeah. I can understand Denny's frustration. I think he was a little faster than the 54. He's got a lot on the line. Like, dude, what are we doing here? He had Christopher Bell, I think, right behind him, which was his other teammate.
Both in the playoffs.
Yep. You need the stage points. We were just talking about that. Like, there's a lot going on here.
So take me into the meetings this morning. You've been in them.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be fun at all. For Joe, for Ty, for Denny. I've been in some of those meetings where you're like Christopher Bell. And, like, you're, like, sinking in the chair, like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here.
Look at the time.
Yeah.
What's the worst one you ever in with yourself? Was it – let me give you one.
The worst one I was ever in, I was the sinking in the chair guy. And that was, when Roger and Kurt got in a fight.
Oh.
That was not fun. That's the worst one I've ever been in.
What about 2021 Daytona 500?
We didn't really have a big meeting after that.
Really?
No. There wasn't much there.
Okay, that's good. Because I would like, I remember from that.
I don't recall having a meeting at all now that I think of it.
So I remember from.
Maybe I'm just like.
Well, you guys definitely talked about it with Joey, you.
I'm sure that he and I had a conversation. Honestly, in the moment, I thought Joey had wrecked me. And then after I saw the replay, I realized McDowell turned me. And I didn't feel so bad.
So I had to fly home with Joey the next day because we went down there and he drove my dirt car. And I get.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And I just like stayed out of it. But. I guess him and Coleman was spotting for you at the time. Him and Coleman were best friends.
Yes.
And Coleman's never been – he's like a lot like TJ. He's never been wrong.
Oh, yeah.
So I think they had been arguing. So I got there, and I didn't say anything. He's like, what do you think?
Oh, I could say.
And I said, I think the wheels were tight when you guys wrecked.
Good answer.
And he was like, oh, well, you're way different than Coleman. I was like, yeah, man, my part was checked. Like,
yeah. So the part that nobody really talks about that is – that was day 2 of that race. I don't know if you remember that or not, because it rained. And we had run for, 15, 30 minutes on Sunday. There was a huge crash. And then it rained right after the crash, and they red flagged and we raced the next day. Well, in that huge crash, the 34 car was a part of it. And he had torn up the right side in the crash. And obviously he went on to win the race. Well, when they came down pit road to fix it, and they had plenty of time because of all the red flags and rain delays and all that, they had pulled the right side of the spoiler back on that thing like 3 inches.
Oh, yeah.
And that car was a rocket. So when I was setting up the last lap move, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do, I knew how I wanted to execute it, it all planned out in my mind, I had set it up to where Michael would push me coming off of turn 2. I'd get a big run on Joey, pull a side draft underneath him, clear him into turn 3, win the race. Like, I had this all mapped out in my head in real time as we're clocking down the laps. Like, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm ready to go. Well, the reason why that was going to work is the way those cars were at the time. When you would push somebody, more often than not, you couldn't stay attached. You would do like these kind of bump pushes, and then eventually the lead car would like pull off. Well, with all that spoiler damage on the 34 car, like, he didn't become detached. Like, his car was just that fast the way it was done. And so when he started pushing me, I went to make my move with him still attached, and it just turned the car immediately. If I had known that part, I would have made a different move. I didn't know that his car was that stupid fast to be able to pull that off. But that's honestly, at the end of the day, it wasn't really Joey's fault or my fault. It was just one of those things that happens.
You ever had one of those cars like where you can't mess it up?
Oh yeah. I had best race car I think I've ever had. I had this car in Kentucky one year, 2014, and it was just an absolute rocket. It would not go on a restart, but after like 3 laps, like 2/10 faster. You're like, this is awesome.
Paul Wolf, Jerry Kelly, Nick Hensley.
Yeah.
Them boys. They had that thing. Yeah, that was a hell of a team.
That car was a rocket. That's probably the best car I ever remember having.
How do you feel like you, just as a driver from 2000 and would you say it was 2009, 2010 rookie year, has changed for better or for worse? And for worse?
Well, the next gen car changed me in some ways for worse as a driver, because you have to drive it way differently. You know, the cars in 2008, 2009, first off, were significantly faster. I don't know if I can put into terms how much faster they were than the next gen car.
I watched a clip of you setting a track record at Loudon the other day in the 2 car. I'm like, oh my God, it's like a 27.
2 seconds faster.
Yeah.
Does faster
percentage wise, 2 seconds faster around a 30-second lap time? That's like 15%, 10%.
Does faster mean harder to drive?
In that area, yes. Yes, absolutely. Much more difficult to drive. My first Cup start was at Texas, and you could literally spin the tires off the corner. You did. You spun the tires up. You'd come off of turn 4, and you'd be putting the gas pedal down on the rear tire, like wind up. Now, like, you can't spin the tires on a restart.
Yeah.
Like, you, restart, I'm in the zone.
Mash it.
Like, all right, here it goes. You know what I mean? Like I'm in an old pickup truck.
It really is. An expensive pickup truck.
So it's different because the other cars that I raced, throttle control was paramount. Like, if you didn't have it, you're going to the back fast. This car, it's like the antithesis of that. With like, you got to just smash the pedal, smash it. And I think that's been hard for me personally.
Yeah.
Like getting I don't want to say the confidence, but just I have to remind myself to just drive it stupid.
Sounds like you're team horsepower.
I am definitely team horsepower. You look at races like Bristol, where the tires wore and you couldn't do that, and I was like, oh, these guys are in a heap of trouble. Particularly the younger drivers that never had to drive anything that required throttle control. They just burn them off.
How is that achievable? And what's the number? Like another 200 that can move the needle with this car?
Well, it looks like NASCAR is going to change the rules next year to where we're like 740, 750.
Okay.
Oh, man, there's some stuff on Stacking Pennies. I love that.
Yeah, it's not quite 100 because, right now, technically they're at 670, but realistically they're like 685, 690. So
yeah, what all entails about that change? Taper spacer size?
I think it's just going to be a bigger spacer, yes.
That's it?
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Man, we got 9 minutes left with you, and I think the 3 questions can be really good.
We can talk for another hour, too.
Yeah, we could keep going.
My man's a busy guy, and I'm glad he carved some time out here for us today. So we asked 3 questions all of our guests on the show. Thank you for coming on. Question number 1. If you had to pick one car and one racetrack to race out the rest of your life, what do you go with?
Bristol will always be my favorite track, in the sense of
current configuration,
the challenge,
old configuration,
any of them. Honestly, I don't care. I'm not a huge fan of the PJ1, but
that was my next question.
Outside of that, and any configuration, probably that 2011, 2012 configuration.
Was that when they reconfigured it and didn't ground the top?
They ground the top in the fall of 12, so before they ground the top.
Okay.
Because you still ran the bottom before they ground the top.
Okay.
It was everything they were trying to achieve with PJ1.
But opposite.
But opposite, yes.
What car?
You mean like which team?
No, just pick a car.
Oh, no, definitely the same car. That Gen 6 car, Gen 5 car.
Okay.
What do we call it?
Twisted Sister?
No, that wasn't Twisted Sister. That was the car after, right?
Okay.
Gen 6.
I don't know, man. That Navy car was sick.
That car was
bodies
cool.
Always had, they look different.
The thing about that era that we quickly forget, now the cars are like bounce it off the wall, keep going, nobody cares. That era was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Like, you would have a restart and you'd be like, I'm going to leave 3 foot ahead of me and I'm going to leave 3 foot to my right side and I'm going to Hope the guy behind me doesn't drive in the back of me, because if you just touch something,
your day's done.
It was, destroyed. Like, and
that's
now,
how the trucks are.
Yeah, the trucks are that way now, right? And at that time, that's how the Cup cars and Xfinity cars were, and it was an entirely different way to race because you were like, whoa, don't put a scratch on this thing, or we're in the garage. And we, like everything in this world, we want completely opposite, right? You're like, you went from don't put a scratch on this thing or your day's done. And I didn't think that was right. I didn't think that really fit the racing that we wanted to have. To now it's like, well, just barrel it in there, bounce it off the wall, and keep going. You're like, whoa.
There's
can we find a middle ground here?
It's situational, depending on what situation you're in. You're like, man, I don't want to drive this thing in the fence, my day be done, but I also want to be able to drive into Chris Bell 10 mile an hour faster and not just launch into the start-finish line. Like, there's two.
Yeah, there's probably a line there.
There's a line there. All right, I'll go one level deeper on the car because I'm curious, because you've driven a lot of really cool cars, iconic cars. One number and one paint scheme that like sticks out, like, oh man, I love that one.
I was talking a few minutes ago about that car I raced at Kentucky. That paint scheme and that car.
Is that the white down the door?
Yeah, it was. It had like American flag on it.
Yeah.
It was just gorgeous. That car was really put well together. Yeah.
Okay, I love that. I love that one. All right, what's the most embarrassed you've been at the racetrack?
Most embarrassed. So it was my first ever NASCAR start. It was in the Truck Series. I couldn't afford a pit crew. It was with my dad's team. I was maybe like 21, I think, at the time. I'd have been 20 at the time. I was 20. It's 2004. And we came down pit road, and we were on the lead lap. It was my first ever start, and I was like, I'm so proud to be on the lead lap, like halfway through this race.
Where was it?
Martinsville.
Okay.
We come down pit road, and we have like a 25-second stop.
Did you go a lap down?
So they dropped the jack, and the pace car is right beside me on pit road. And I'm like, I'm going to pass the pace car. I'm like, because at that time you could speed on pit road, and all the penalty was stay on the longest line. Like,
right.
So you were better off to race the pace car on pit road.
Not go lap down.
Now they don't have that rule, thankfully. So I'm racing the pace car on pit road. He's on the racetrack. I'm on pit road, and I'm like this, you know what I mean? And I get to turns 1 and 2 on pit road, and I'm going way too fast. And it starts to slide, and I hit the wall, and I crashed on pit road. And my dad was on the radio, and he was none too happy about it. And I just remember, like, this is how my first start is going to be remembered.
It's my last. It might be my last.
It might be my last, right? I was so embarrassed. That was definitely it.
That's a good one.
Pit road, tough place. I've never done my most embarrassing, but I still wakes me up at night. That 2020 championship race with you.
Oh yeah,
well, just or not just me in general, but our whole team just being unprepared for the moment and kind of having the hard conversations before that and being like, hey, I think we're unprepared for this, and then getting there and being unprepared for it. Like that was the
day.
The layup. But the moment of obviously letting you down, but looking at Kirk, our car chief, looking at Bolton, like knowing the car that we brought and watching the 9 car celebrating victory lane and being like, even today when I see
sobering, right? Yeah.
Well, even when I see the 9 car with the championship, I'm like, man, we should have got rings for that one for giving it to him.
Yeah.
They should give us.
Yeah, you guys owe us a ring for giving it to you.
You know, I get questions like, you know, do you think you can ever win another championship, and do you think you're good? And I remember that year thinking like, I feel like that's the year I should have won the championship. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I was good enough. I feel like I executed at a really high level for all the races. Like, and you know, ebbs and flows, and the format is what it is.
So I got 2 questions. I'm going to add this one into our list of 4. Last question officially is, if I had the Men in Black pen, which I assume you know the movie, right? If they click it, zaps your memory. But you only get to keep one racing memory. What do you keep?
Ooh, one racing memory. My first win.
Where?
It was in Nashville, 2008, driving the Navy car, Xfinity Series. That one would be it for sure.
That's an iconic car, man. That white, the
it was
black
really
numbers.
Cool.
Adidas fire suits.
Yeah.
Everything was different. The white, the car looked like it was twice as big as everybody else because the side skirts were painted.
Oh, I know.
And the valance was painted.
Yeah.
It was
Dale was all
half
about
the reason. That is half the
that
reason I paint all my stuff white. Like all my short track cars are white.
Yes. Well, it was part of the inspiration of the colors for RFK too.
Really?
The black and white. I always loved that car.
Who's crew chief on that thing?
Tony Uri Sr.
Hey,
oh
Pops.
man, Pops!
Shout out, Pops.
Yeah.
What a team!
Last question, and I'll let you get it. Take this wherever you want to. What is Brad Keselowski's idea of success or definition of success?
Well, in the end, being happy is always the definition of success, and we can try to muddy it in so many different ways. Are you happy? Great, you've been successful. If you're not happy, you're not successful. And you would say, in that light, happiness long term is success. I mean, that's ultimately what we're all trying to be, is just happy.
I heard a great one this week. Listen to John Maxwell podcast. He said his definition of success has evolved over time, right? Your definition of success in 2012 was you achieved it, right?
Yes,
you were the champion. Yep. Now your definition of success might be being a great husband, being a great father. John Maxwell's definition of success was the people who know me the best love and respect me the most. Mm-hmm. And I was like, ooh, that hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, there's a Bill Gates has a similar one to that, which again, there's certainly credence to it, but what you're trying to achieve at the end is just to be happy. So I just kind of take it to first principle.
Are you happy?
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, some days more than others, right?
No doubt.
I'm happy I get to live my dream. That doesn't mean I don't get frustrated. I definitely get frustrated.
You're passionate about it.
But that's just because I'm hungry. I want more out of my life. I want more success. I'm passionate. Being passionate is a part of my happiness, which is a really complex series of emotions, right? Where you realize frustration is happiness. Yeah.
You've earned the right to be pissed off about the outcome.
Yes,
right?
yes. What's strange for me, at least, I have this weird quirk where I tend to laugh more when I'm unhappy than when I'm happy. I don't know why that is.
You've been laughing a lot in here.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
Well, I was going to say it. Now you say it, Flores.
I'd love to have you back in, man. I wish you, Jeremy, and the entire 6 team great success for the rest of the year. Ladies and gentlemen, Brad Keselowski.
Woo! I have stacked some pennies.
You have stacked many pennies, my friend, and we're going to stack some more coming up right after this. All right, guys, we're back for a quick pit road boats and woes from the Magic Mile. First up, what do we got?
We got the 9 car. It's fitting that these guys are the dogs of the week. Or it's fitting these guys are the first guys we're talking about because they are the dogs of the week for this reason. Not just because John gets the gas can out. So you see the gas can get drug here. This is a low light, but he gets it out. The reason that it gets drug and the reason they're dogs of the week, they are 4th overall on speed. They've just taken over the number 1 spot on pit road for the year. And they had an impossible pit stall. When you look at this clip right here, if you just pause it, they're in between the 88 and the 71. So they're stopped back really far because the 71's coming around them. And right when they drop the jack, he's got to make a hard left. What that does, we've talked about it with the Schultz fuel head, is it jams it up in there. Or he's got to make a hard right. It jams the fuel head up in the gas hole, and that's how the gas can gets drugged down pit road. But these guys, most of the race came around the 88, then stopped short with the 71 coming around them. That is very challenging to do fast pit stops, and they did it. They have been such a consistently strong crew, and it's not talked about enough just how good they have been. So that's why they're the dogs of the week. They've been great this year, and they'll continue to be great, I'd say, through the rest of this playoffs. A lot of old dogs on that card, too.
There is a lot of old dogs learning new tricks, still getting the job done.
That's it. The 11, they were P1 on the day, but I didn't see this. It says they leave early again. What happened?
Going on, tire changer hit, jack drops, and it's real. I mean, the gun's still on the left rear.
Yeesh.
We haven't heard anything out of the 11. I only show you the
it must have been tight.
Just in case he has
Clearly.
He kept going. Go back to that. I want to look at this. What is that tape laying in the front of the pit box? Where did that tape come from? That is not great.
It might have came from the car in front, like spinning it and
or
shooting it back.
Or he stopped, and when they pulled the right front, it rolled off the right front. Because a lot of times it'll stop and roll up on the tire, and it makes it. These tires are hard enough to pull as it is, but you pull it, and it's got like a tail from the tape. So you got to be careful about the tape that you put in there and put down on the box as well. Some people were painting chalk, but NASCAR frowned upon that here lately. 5 and 45 had a close call on pit road. This is a tight pit road. There's a ton of cracks in the asphalt of pit road too, which makes it challenging. So yeah, this is tough because that's a great call by Cliff Daniels and by the 45 crew chief and spotter.
2, 45 trying to come in.
That's such a heads-up play for neither of them to wreck. It's so hard when you're pitted down there towards the back half, towards turn 4, because when you're doing 2 and other guys are coming in, you get in this scrum of just almost crashing.
That was heads up by everybody there.
That was a great job. Live to fight another day.
Live to fight another day.
Backs up into his stall.
There you go. Track position is so important.
Track position is key, but yeah, a lot of good stuff yesterday on pit road. Not a lot of huge woes. We had a pretty rough day from the 38, but and we had about a 15th to 20th place car. But you have a bad day back there, it takes you to finish 27th. So there's a lot of stuff to work on with our young guys. But moving on. Penny for your thoughts questions?
Yeah, we got a bunch of them.
First one.
From Drew Johnson.
If you could add one song to the new NASCAR game, which song would you add, man? I haven't
seen I have been interested in the new game. I'm excited to play it. I got a 2-seat simulator here I built for Schluter Systems years ago, and I've kind of refurbished it, so we're going to put the new game in that one. So I'm excited to plug it in and play it.
Steering wheel? Putting steering wheel on it and everything?
Yeah. It's back there. It's been back there.
That's good.
Yeah,
it'd be weird if you had the simulator and you got in there with the controller.
No, it's going to have like the Fanatec stuff, and it's nice. Go up still. I think the only thing that is a must, which I believe it is Molly Hatchet flirt with disaster. I think that's in the game, isn't it? So as far as I'm concerned, they were 1 for 1. Now, if there
give me some lovin'.
Yeah.
Yeah, Days of Thunder. That's a must-have for every NASCAR game, I think.
Yeah.
It's the opening.
I agree. Lund Photography.
Do you have any plans for next year? We talked about this a little bit, hoping to still watch you race.
I'm not knocking on any doors. I'm kind of holding the reins loosely at the moment. I just feel like I've been praying for some clarity and some direction on where I go and where my time's going to be most efficient. And I think that is pointing towards, starting a composite shop, which we're already spinning up and doing. And that's going to take a lot of effort and time. So it's going to have to be something really convincing for me to peel away some time and effort away from that.
One lone girl asked, what happened to Bowman? I have no idea.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then
she also says, thank you for reading my question.
Yeah.
Wish we had an answer. You kind of alluded, are you enjoying truck racing? We talked about the Ty Gibbs stuff. Is it calm, cool, and direct, or an ass chewing? Okay, cowboy. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. So there was a first question. The 11 and 54. What would you imagine that Monday morning meeting be like? Is it calm, cool, and direct, or an ass chewing?
I don't believe it's going to be calm and cool. Like Denny was particularly fired up, and if I know Denny at all, I don't think that he would ever admit that his perspective is not the right one. So I'm be interested in here. I would love to be a fly on the wall in that meeting.
We'll see. Gressy 4, who is your spotter for the trucks?
Shout out Michael Fisher. He spots for Michael McDowell on Sunday. I think he is one of my favorite spotters I've worked with. I believe he did some super late model stuff down in Florida. I think that's kind of where he came from. I'm not exactly sure, but I think he does a really good job.
Yeah. And then the last one, keep it roving. Do you think if Penske cars make it to Phoenix, we see a similar result? I don't see any other indications. I think that it's heading that way. So
yeah, I agree.
Keep her rolling, boys.
Yeah, and I think everybody in the garage except for the Team Penske will be excited to see the finale roll back down to Homestead, Miami after 25, because they certainly have had a lock on Phoenix in the fall when it matters, and they've won every next gen. Yeah, they've won every next gen championship.
Yep. Yes, they have.
And indications show that they're looking pretty promising to win another one.
Dang right.
But a lot of variables can happen in between now and Phoenix, so that's why you got to keep watching every week, ladies and gentlemen.
couple shout-outs. First and foremost, shout-out Ron Capps, Allison, and everybody in his camp, Paul, for having us out at the Four Wides. We went out to the Four Wides on Friday night. It was reminiscent of me going to Friday night qualifying back in Englishtown. I had a lot of fun with the kids. The kids had a blast. Got to talk to Alexis DeJoria, Ron Capps.
Smoke, right?
Got to talk to Tony for a while and Antron Brown for a little while. It was really good to catch up with all those guys. And just, man, we got to go up in the suite and like to be in that view from the suite, watching the cars go away from you, like straight away, is so sick. The kids were really into it. I was teaching about the lights and the Christmas tree and how it all worked. So it was a really good time. Really appreciate those guys having us out.
Sunday?
I know this, but I don't know. Austin is a Proc.
Austin Proc, yeah.
Proc and Ron. Hope Ron's okay. He had a big blow up, dude. Those things when they blow and it starts shaking back.
They're
and forth.
They're a bomb, buddy.
But when it was shaking back and forth, I can only imagine just how shook up you get in that.
Dude, did you see Tony's wreck last week?
Yeah, we talked to him about it for a little bit.
Yeah,
he said the lights went out slowly.
Justin Ashley won in Top Fuel.
Justin Ashley won Top Fuel. It's their playoffs right now. I don't understand exactly how their playoffs work. Brandon Queen wins the 7th ARCA race of the season at Salem. Shout out Steve-O. Waffle House was alive and well after that.
It's been a tough year to be a Waffle House this year because when that Pinnacle Racing Group comes into town, you know they're coming for business.
Bad day to be a waffle. Right after an ARCA race.
I think Butterbean's coming in. I think next couple weeks. Obviously, he's got a lot of energy right now. He's going to have some fun things to hopefully talk about on this show as well, what his future looks like.
Yeah.
Penny Stacker, Connie Davis from Bethel, Connecticut. So, Connie, thank you for supporting the show and stacking pennies with us.
A couple of friends. I think it was Scott and Jackson from Vermont and Maine. They were at the pit box yesterday. Talked to them for a while. So, yeah, it was a lot of penny stackers up there in New England.
A lot of penny stackers everywhere.
Corey High, Ty's Greg Biffle for the most wins in a season in the trucks. Action Express wins at Indy. First win for that team since 2023 in the IMSA racing. Good to see Still freezing back
I saw
the track.
him. I went up in the lounge.
What did he say?
P&Q. He looks good. Lost some weight. He's probably down 20, 25 pounds, as you'd expect. And just talked about what his road to recovery looks like. Talk about seat and some safety stuff that, we can potentially look at to help make those things safer in the future. He was running one of our seats, and he was thanking Dad and thanking our seats for potentially saving his life, not only just making the energies a little bit less, because he hit broadside the blunt end of a concrete wall with his seat.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, those big block dirt modifieds that Stewart runs, you sit in the center of the car, kind of like a sprint car. It's essentially a sprint car chassis with just like
a big body on it.
Yeah, like wider axles in the front and a big-ass motor.
And it's in the center instead of being offset.
So, it might look like there's 4 feet of body and tin work, but all it is a sheet of 32 thousandths aluminum that's in between you and the cage. So, man, I really am glad to see Stewie up and walk in. He was using some crutches, right? He's using a wheelchair to get around. He's got some nerve stuff in his foot that he's trying to rehab through. So I hope, fingers crossed, all that comes back and he's able to wheel a car like we all know he's capable of. So that was cool to see him this weekend. We wish him well and a speedy recovery.
And Tyler Rypkema, he's going to join us right here next. The modified winner. Everybody saw the kind of the viral clip of him crashing across the start-finish line. So let's have him in. I think he's here. Come on in. We'll talk about it.
Come on in. Tyler Rypkema, driver of the Old Blue number 3. All right, speaking of shout-outs, the Modified Tour winner from the Magic Mile joins us, driver of the Old Blue number 3, Tyler Rypkema. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, going good, guys. How about you?
Win on Saturday. Wear a neon yellow shirt on Monday. What are you doing today?
Yeah, snap back to reality. Working up here in East Syracuse, putting some poles up today and aiming some fixtures. So, yeah, it all set in pretty quick that, hey, you won on Saturday, but you got to get back to work on Monday.
Yeah, reality hits you in the face. Erica Marola has got a good story about winning at Talladega, then flying home, doing the whole thing, and having to take the trash out. So you never get away from it. But, man, that we were talking about it earlier, fans came out in droves for arguably the best race historically of the weekend, the modifieds, and the finish to that race was freaking awesome, and you guys delivered. we'll pull the clip and we're gonna put your kind of narration over it. But you come off a 2 running second behind the champ, 4-time champ Justin Bonsignor. What was going through your mind?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of backs up to, the restart. Starting on the bottom is tough there. And, if the top gets formed up and they get pushing, you can be a sitting duck on the bottom. And I think possibly, with Christopher blowing up, it might have kind of checked everybody up a little bit so they couldn't get formed up and pushing on the top. So I knew getting down into 3, I had to clear the 46. Once we were able to do that, I knew I just had to get a couple good runs to get to Justin, and it all kind of worked out in that spacing that we were able to get to him pretty early off of 2. So down the backstretch, he had to block early to keep that run slowed up for me, and then I was able to hook it back to the top, and he chased me up there a little bit, which might have also, if he would have stayed at the bottom and just kind of tried rolling bottom, it wouldn't have opened that opportunity up for me. But yeah, I was able to get a decent arc down into 3 and made a little bit of contact to get him freed up off the bottom a little bit and get under him. And off of 4, historically, the guys will get a good push from whoever is in 3rd, or, there'll be a handful of guys there pushing at the end. And I guarded bottom, and I saw him leave the mirror and go to the top, and I chased him to the top. And looking back now, I probably should have just held her down there on the bottom, and I had it won. But, everything happens in a split second. It's easier for people to say after a race, well, look, he wasn't even, he wouldn't have gotten the run. And it's like, well, guys, I don't know that when you're coming to the checkered flag on the last lap. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So you're driving the most famous modified of all time, Old Blue. What did Greg is the crew chief on that? He's been there for a long time. You guys build those cars in-house. What was his message when that thing showed up at Victory Lane on a rollback? Was he slightest bit pissed off at you, or was he just happy?
No, we've had a really, really rough year. We've blown up engines. We've had destroyed cars, and just some really just crazy, weird crap happened to us. So, before the race, he just said, hey, him and Scott both said, we just need a good one. It doesn't, he goes, if you got to push second to or third to the win or, whatnot, he goes, let's just take it today. And I said, all right. And then, when you cross the line, coming to the white flag and you're the guy in second, kind of all bets are off there. You got to go for it. I'm not going to wake up Saturday morning or Sunday morning and go, wow, what an idiot. Why didn't you go for it? You don't get the opportunity in these things very often. We're all so close that you've got to be perfect and you got to have everything go your way. So I felt bad for about a second and a half once we passed the start-finish line, we just tore up the car a little bit. But then immediately queued up, I think it was Greg screaming on the radio, just pumped up. And, I got down into 1 and stopped, and everybody's hot micing the crap out of me, and you can't hardly hear any of them. And, so get to Victory Lane, and I think they about all attacked me. So, no, it's really not bad. It tore the right front off it a little bit, probably bent right rear tube in the rear, but a lot of body work. But, no, the car's really not, people are saying, oh, it's destroyed, and it's chassis fine. It wasn't a hard hit. It was just a glance. So, a little bit of work, but the payday's definitely worth it.
Fastest tire dismount in history. Pulled the tire right off the wheel.
Rip it clean off.
That was impressive. What does that race mean to the modified community? That we hear it talked about a lot of, it's their Super Bowl, it's their Daytona 500. What does that truly mean to the modified community to win at Loudon?
Yeah, it's the pinnacle, for us. It's the only place you really go to that we're actually drafting, and the draft comes into play, and it just brings a whole different aspect into modified racing. Typically modifieds, you laugh about draft, but that place is wild, and the feel you get in the draft and pushing with other cars and just the history of that race in general. And you get to watch a ton of videos from back in the day there, and the spectacular shows put on back then, and watching Jan Leedy and, some of the greats just run awesome races there. And it is our Super Bowl. So to be able to show up and be as good as we were all day and run as good as we did, and then be there at the end and be able to bring one home for the 3 team is awesome. The last race that the 3 team won there was with Tony Hirschman. They won 3 out of 4 races in 1996, and that was a year before I was even born. So I think they were all they were all really, really excited, and they said, we've been really, really good here a long time, and the place owed them one, and they said it felt like, they weren't going to get another one there just because they just, for one reason or another, they just had some bad luck over the years.
Tyler, we sit here and talk pretty much on a weekly basis of guys who are racing in the Cup Series, right? Guys who have the planes and trains and automobiles and do it at a high level and are compensated very highly for it. Now, when I go back to the Modified Series, it is volunteers. It is guys doing it for purely the love of the sport and love of the game. What is it that keeps you driving? You're working, sitting here on a Monday, peeling time off, be able to talk to us about your career best, your career biggest defining win, right? And then you're going to go work on Monday. So what is it about modified racing or racing in general that you love?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all joke about it occasionally. It's like a drug, man. It gets in your system, and it's just it hooks you. And I think part of it is a lot of that camaraderie of, hey, we're not here pulling a check. We're just all here to do this, and it takes a ton of sacrifice to do it. And that feeling on Saturday, just that feeling when you cross the line and you get that win, man, it's like nothing else, and we joke sometimes we think drugs might be cheaper, but and sometimes less aggravating, but yeah, I mean, all the guys, Greg and Scott, and to see everybody as happy as they were and ecstatic, Mike Bowler, he's pretty even keel guy. He doesn't really get excited about much, but when he comes into victory lane and is hooting and hollering and picks me up off the ground, and a lot of my team also came from our home car to the 3 team, to have a lot of them there was awesome. Zach Truesdale was my crew chief forever, struggling, working our butt off with our own stuff. And with me being out of town, he picked up a ton of slack on our own cars in the shop. And so to have him there, and he's been there with every race with the 3 team, there's a couple guys I really wish could have been there, Craig and Donnie, and but yeah, no, it's incredible. And like I say, I don't know what it is about racing that hooks us so hard, but once it's in your system, it's real hard to get it out.
There's a long time where no modified guys were kind of on the top series. They were kind of just secluded to modifieds, but we've seen Ryan Preece doing really well with the 6 car this year. We've seen Justin make the leap and run some Xfinity races. Saw Patrick Emmerling this past weekend in the truck. Is there any aspirations to I would say, move forward, chase some racing dreams down south?
Yeah, in reality, I've got my business, and that keeps me really busy. And my family, it's always been we do well, but you work really hard to do it, So it would take a real opportunity for me to pass up, I've always said before I'm done doing this, actually I said it on Friday when we were qualifying, I said, we were looking at some stuff Daytona-wise, and I'm like, yep. I said, before I'm done doing this, I at least want to run a race at Daytona, whether it's in K&N or Xfinity or a truck or something. I said, if I can do that before I'm gone and done with this racing deal, that'd be really cool. And I've always said, we got to win some of these modified races, man. Like, we've been so good so many times and came up a little short. So we're not done yet. This season has been tough, but yeah, like I say, coming all the way to North Carolina, and I'm really established up here with my job and my business, and I got people that depend on me up here, so it would take something very substantial for me to say I'm moving south.
Well, I hope you get that opportunity to run around Daytona, man. It is a special place, but all the hard work's worth it, buddy. For a moment like you had on Saturday, it was super exciting to watch, and everybody here on Stacking Pennies wishes you congratulations. Now you got to get back to work, make some money.
Yes. Hey, thank you, guys.
Good job, buddy.
Good job.
All right, let's land this plane. A lot of conversations today. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Going to Kansas. Hammer down, 1.5 miles, 3 p.m. on Sunday, USA. Excited about that. A lot of people in some desperate positions below the cut line. Excited to see who's going to deliver. My eyes looking at the 1, the 23, a couple guys who have ran well at Kansas previously. But more on spare change later in the week for our recap. on the Burnout as well as Little Kansas Preview. Whether you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple, wherever you find your podcast, YouTube, the NASCAR YouTube channel has all the clips from all the wrecks that we break down, all the pit road boats and woes, as well as the driver interviews with Brad Keselowski in studio. Hope you guys are watching us on that.
Also the NASCAR channel. All over the place. Tubi, Samsung TV Plus, Xumo Play, Prime Video, and Roku.
And last but not least, SiriusXM Channel 90. As you guys are riding down the road, we appreciate you spending your time with us each and every week. Keep stacking pennies, guys. Those little details get you ultimately where you want to go, good or bad. Are you stacking the right pennies? Also, are you keeping your schedule open? October 2nd, Thursday next week. Thursday this week is my birthday, September 25th. Thursday next week, October 2nd, guys, is the 5th annual Kickball Classic. So if you're coming into town for the Roval, hope you can come in for the Atrium Health Ballpark, 5 p.m. There's going to be a autograph session, and the first 50 people are guaranteed an autograph. We only have about a half-hour block. So if you get there early enough, you can get your favorite driver's autograph. And then watch us play some kickball. There'll be an awesome fireworks show, all sorts of fun stuff Thursday night for the Kickball Classic. Or you can buy a ticket and support it as well at CoreyLaJoieRacing.com. There's also there's an auction website with a lot of different driver shoes and gloves and body parts, a lot of cool stuff. You can look and maybe bid on your favorite driver stuff as well. So I don't know where exactly to find that link. Do you know? Go to my website as well, CoreyLaJoieRacing.com. We should have some more info on kickball coming up this week because it's coming, ladies and gentlemen. If you can't be there, also it'll be on NASCAR's YouTube page streamed live again. So it's going to be a great night. It's one of my favorite nights of the year. The Kickball Classic coming up next Thursday. What else we got? We got OGO golf bag to give away on our social media at _stacking pennies on Instagram. Arctic Coolers here. Appreciate those guys' support of the event.
Mid-show table swap with the Arctic Cooler. Pretty stoked about that.
Yeah, thing's cool. Also, this is a new addition to the show, Low Sea and Horizon Hobbies. These things are sick, dude. So we're gonna be doing some content. We got some stuff hanging off of it. Levi's been crashing the heck out of this thing, but it's rugged, and it's like pretty damn fast. Like it's all you need for an RC car. So shout out to these guys for supporting the show and making a sick Stacking Pennies performance. 1/12 scale NASCAR Cup Series car. That's all I got, guys. Y'all have a great day. Keep stacking pennies. Corey LaJoie here alongside Ryan Flores. Goodbye.